Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.com/zip. That's ziprecruiter.com/zip. ziprecruiter.com/zip.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Hello, America. Welcome. It's an open line Friday here at the Eric Erickson Show across the nation. The phone number is 877, actually. 877-973-7425. The Europeans currently are winning the Ryder Cup. It's not going well for the American team. I got the TV on. There's President Trump. He just showed up. He did a flyby with Air Force One earlier, rallying the crowd. Absolutely, that man's going to see the Ryder Cup. What an incredible thing. It is the Europeans versus the Americans there at the Ryder Cup. Now, way more engaged than Joe Biden could be there on the stage. So I got to begin with the James Comey indictment. There are a lot of people on the left screaming, oh no, this is terrible. How dare you do this? You know, I don't particularly care for Mike Flynn, but you know why Mike Flynn was indicted? Mike Flynn was indicted allegedly for lying to the FBI, and you know what the lie was about? It wasn't a material lie. Mike Flynn was, prior to the start of the Trump administration, the first term, communicating Donald Trump's desires for changes in national policy to the Russians in advance of of Trump taking over. And the Obama administration sent the FBI agents to try to grill him on what Donald Trump was doing, and it was none of their business. And they indicted Mike Flynn for lying to the FBI. Ultimately, the DOJ decided they couldn't pursue the case, and then Trump, didn't matter, pardoned him. Or there's Jeff Clark. Jeff Clark was a U.S. attorney in the Attorney General's office, Deputy Attorney General. Jeff Clark, provided advice to the president on how to proceed with his consideration of a stolen election, and he was frog marched out of his house before sunup with FBI agents. He was arrested, harassed by the Biden administration. All he did was his job. There were the pro-lifers who prayed at abortion clinics, who had their doors kicked in the middle of the night, one of them a wheelchair-bound grandmother, because Joe Biden needed to placate the left. Oh, and you people on the left justify every single one of them. So I'm sorry. Stop telling me this has never been done before. You people have done it. You just don't know about it because CNN and MSNBC either shade the truth or don't tell you the truth. They lie to you and you believe the lie. Yeah, I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but the James Comey case is extremely straightforward. James Comey testified that he was neither the source of nor authorized the leaking to the press information related to Donald Trump and the investigation of the Russian involvement in the election. You got that? This is a very simple cut and dry case. James Comey testified under oath that he did not leak nor authorize leaks about the Donald Trump investigation. But Andrew McCabe testified under oath to Congress that James Comey directed him to leak. So either Andrew McCabe lied or James Comey lied. And they were under oath. And you know the reaction from some of the elite in Washington is, we shouldn't indict people for lying to Congress. This is the same people who said you shouldn't indict people for fraudulently filling out their mortgage applications. Lisa Cook. There really is this progressive white view, and it's not even really progressives. It's just the white elite saying, we shouldn't indict people for lying on their mortgage application. We shouldn't indict people for lying to Congress. It's the elites in this country who don't want the same standard applied to them that's applied to everyone else. This is a very straightforward case. Either James Comey lied to Congress under oath or Andrew McCabe lied to Congress under oath. And you people just indicted a whole lot of people with January 6th related to what they said or didn't say to Congress. It's not a two wrongs make a right thing. It's the right playing by your rules, Democrats. You're the ones who set the rules. And what you've always thought is, if the Republicans take power, they won't play the game the way we play the game. And guess what? Donald Trump is playing the game the way you play the game, and you don't like it. You started it, and this is, again, a very simple case. It is a genuinely very simple case, and what's notable is Catherine Herridge, a very good reporter, says that essentially the current U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Siebert, had been dragging his feet trying to get to the statute of limitations so there could be no indictment. Now, here's the thing we know. Kash Patel declassified the FBI leak investigation. It was codenamed Arctic Haze. The documentation revealed that James Comey authorized media leaks, including one involving classified information, through his FBI subordinates or through his Columbia Law School professor, Reitman, with special government employee status. It's actually been well documented for some time that James Comey did the leaking to sabotage the Trump administration. You can say it's a nothing burger, but you know and I know the Democrats have used the Department of Justice to harass conservatives. They've used the IRS to go after conservatives. They've used every tool within government to target their conservative opponents. And you guys have never seen Republicans do it before. But even more importantly, James Comey lied to Congress under oath. If you or I lied under oath, we would get indicted. Why should the powerful and the elite not get indicted for something you or I would get indicted for? If James Comey didn't lie, Andrew McCabe is the one who lied. Now, there are a couple problems for the Trump administration. One of which is the president can't bring himself to shut up about it and has been tweeting. And that's a problem. Eli Honig, who at CNN has been one of the loud voices talking about the abuse of indictments against Donald Trump. Well, this is him.
Justifiable reluctance within DOJ right now.
President Trump's been very public about wanting this case against Comey and others to be brought. There was this Truth Social post where he named Comey directly and called him and New York Attorney General Letitia James and Senator Adam Schiff, quote, all guilty as hell. That was just a few days ago. Could those, if the case was brought forward, could those comments impact the case?
100% yes. All of those comments, I promise you, are going in Jim Comey's lawyer's file, because what they're going to do if he's indicted is very quickly, I think, make a motion to dismiss for selective prosecution. Now, that's a hard argument to make. It rarely succeeds, but that's because it's so hard to prove that there was some pressure coming from political outlets to charge this person for political reasons. But here, that Truth Social, it really doesn't get a whole lot clearer than that. So if this indictment does get through a grand jury, watch for that to be the next step.
It does get through a grand jury because it's so straightforward what he did. There are lots of people saying this is a nothing burger, and it's not a nothing burger. He lied under oath to Congress. I mean, you can spin this however you want to spin this, as this is a partisan witch hunt. And by the way, Eliotti is right. If it is clear that partisan politics caused someone to be indicted, the judge can throw out the indictment. He's right. The president should have had no business tweeting. But there's another problem here as well. Pam Bondi is not a great attorney general, and she may have screwed up this case from the get-go. Why? Because acting Attorney General James McHenry appointed Eric Siebert as the interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia on January 21st, 2025. On May 6th, the president nominated Siebert to be the U.S. Attorney and advanced to the Senate floor. That's when Trump learned Siebert had told senior Justice Department officials investigators found sufficient evidence to bring charges against Letitia James and raised concerns about the case against Comey. So Siebert resigned as interim U.S. attorney, or Trump fired him. Trump says he didn't quit, I fired him. The question is, can the attorney general make a second interim appointment under the law when the first interim appointment has expired? The law suggests that the district court gets to appoint the interim attorney general. That's the position the Department of Justice adopted in 1986, written by a lawyer for the Department of Justice named Sam Alito. The Alito opinion suggests the attorney general may not make successive interim appointments. Pam Bondi could have screwed this case up out of the gate, just with the handling of the interim U.S. attorney being there or not. His term expired. The president then pushed him out the door when he refused to do these indictments, brought in the new U.S. attorney, Lindsay Halligan. And the question is she a validly appointed U.S. attorney? And actually, the precedent and timeline suggests she's not actually a valid U.S. attorney. So she is the one who can't actually bring the indictment. Between that and the president's political tweets showing, or at least giving the appearance of this being a political prosecution, Comey could get out of this with nothing. I got to remind my friends here who want to engage in this sort of stuff that how you handle it matters. And if you come out of the gate looking like this is a partisan witch hunt, judges have discretion to throw the case out, even if the person may be guilty. You may not like that, but that actually works for you as well. It does work, and it benefits everybody, so that politicians are not singling you out for prosecution because they don't like you. The president should have never tweeted the way he tweeted with this pending indictment. Now, that gets back to the substance of the allegations, though. The FBI declassified its investigation into the leaks about Donald Trump. Remember, there were a series of leaks to the media about what the federal investigators had found relating to the ties between Donald Trump's campaign and the Russians. Now, much of it we know was politically motivated. Much of it we know wasn't real. But where did the leaks come from that seeded the narrative that the Russians stole the election to help Donald Trump and that Donald Trump was somehow in the pocket of the Russians? Where did all of that come from? It came from leaks that we now know James Comey authorized or made himself. And in the process of so doing, when testifying under oath to Congress, lied and said he had nothing to do with it. It was a lie under oath. We prosecute lies under oath. The Obama Justice Department prosecuted lies under oath. The Biden Justice Department prosecuted lies under oath. The double standard here is that progressives think that they themselves should not be prosecuted for lies under oath. Everybody else gets to be prosecuted for lying under oath, but progressives don't. James Comey lied to Congress. We have the evidence, we have the goods, we have the receipts, we have the members of the FBI, including Andrew McCabe, who's now on CNN, saying under oath himself that James Comey authorized the leaks. James Comey thinks that he is above the law. He is not above the law. He's a clown who hated Donald Trump and engaged in partisan machinations, and now justice is coming for James Comey, and he's squealing about it. The problem is not the prosecution because it's deserved. The problem is the bungling of the Trump Justice Department may get the case thrown out, along with the president's tweets. You know how progressives for the last number of weeks, they've been lying to each other about Tyler Robinson. They've been claiming that Tyler Robinson was not ideologically progressive. We've got now the shooter in Texas, and the shooter is supposedly not progressive. Maybe it was the FBI itself that wrote on the bullets. We've got lots of people on the left lying for their narrative. We have lots of people on the left lying for their narrative about Tyler Robinson, about the guy down in Texas, about it all. I want you to know today you are being lied to by progressives on the right who actually want to steer you into some sort of rabid distrust of government. A report has come out about the FBI on January 6th that there were roughly 300 FBI agents in the field that day. Various right-wing outlets that have become very progressive. They're not grounded in truth. They're not grounded in God. They're grounded in the fever swamp of the right, are insisting this is proof that the FBI agents were embedded with the January 6th crowd and were causing people to storm into the building. And that's not what the report shows at all. In fact, it shows that the overwhelming majority of FBI agents were scrambled as these riots were happening to go assist. But there are those on the right who are willfully lying to you, and some of you, just like on the left, want to believe the lie about Tyler Robinson and the shooter in Texas. Some of you on the right want to believe that the FBI agents were orchestrating the January 6th riots. First it was Antifa, then it was the January 6th riots, the FBI agents that were involved. If you want to be lied to and you want to believe the lie from the right, stop attacking the left for seeding their own narratives about the shooter in Texas and Tyler Robinson, because you're no better than them. The truth is the truth, and the truth is that the FBI agents were not plainclothes rioters encouraging people to storm the building on January 6th. It's just what you want to believe, because just as the left wants to believe purity about their side, you want to believe that no one on your side was capable of doing what they actually did. I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth, and you can hate me for telling you the truth, but it's the truth. Now, I got to tell you about Vision Computer. They'd love to have you order a computer from them at 404-COMPUTER, visioncomputers.com. If you go to 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com, you can get a computer from them. They can also be your managed IT service. They can maintain your computers, and instead of getting an email that you file tickets with, you get a phone number, and you call the phone number, 404-COMPUTE. 404-COMPUTE, you call them. They, by the way, when you do the managed IT, they pick up the phone in 15 seconds or less. Call them at 404-COMPUTE today, or go to visioncomputers.com. If you tell them Eric sent you, you can save even more money. 404-COMPUTER, visioncomputers.com. They can build you computers, upgrade your computers. They can be managed IT. And by the way, Windows 10 is about to stop sending security updates. You need to upgrade. They can do that for you too. 404-COMPUTE, anyone nationwide, tell them I sent you. Greetings, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. It's an open line Friday. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, very happy to have you today. Don't forget to text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. You can get the live stream, the show notes, the podcast. We got the Ryder Cup. It's now 3-1. Europe versus the United States. The Ryder Cup. This is a great weekend in sports. You know, it ends on Sunday night with the Dallas Cowboys playing the Green Bay Packers with Micah Parsons, who was at the Cowboys, now at the Packers. They face each other for the first time. This is going to be a great weekend for sports. Lots of fantastic college football this weekend as well. Good games this weekend, finally. I've been kind of underwhelmed by the selection of college football games, but this weekend is great all around. I'm taking my kid to a Braves game. It's going to be a lot of fun for sports this weekend. Now, we got to talk about what happened in Oklahoma. This is a larger national story. I want to set the stage for you with this next situation by talking about the situation in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma, no less. Those of you listening out in Oklahoma are probably more familiar with the story than everyone else. I did not know it had happened until I saw this news clip, and it applies to every corner of this country, and I want to talk about that. But first, I want to play for you this local news story out in Oklahoma from Oklahoma City.
Councilwoman Bree Montoya was interacting with someone on Facebook, calling them uneducated before encouraging them to harm themselves. Those comments eventually gained a lot of traction online, which led to Montoya resigning on Tuesday.
I saw that she was a city council member within moments of her posting it, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that an elected official would talk like that online.
Abbott referring to this exchange she had with now former Norman council member Bree Montoya on Facebook. She says the two were arguing about the size of a crowd at a No Kings protest when she says Montoya's comments turned darker.
In various capacities, I have served this community since 2008, and I am ready to pursue other interests. Effective immediately, I am resigning as council member for Ward 3. Thank you, Ward 3.
Montoya resigned just this Tuesday, but to our surprise, we learned her comments towards Abbott were made back in June.
No one at City Hall, none of the people on the city council seemed to be concerned with any of it.
Abbott's screenshots were shared in Norman groups and says the exchange gained more traction once libs of TikTok got a hold of it.
If it hadn't went viral with libs of TikTok picking it up, I don't think that anything would have happened at all. I don't think there would have been a public apology, and I don't think that she would have resigned.
One man at Tuesday's meeting angry with the mayor about how the situation was handled.
Sir, you were quiet about this entire situation, and I think that just speaks to your integrity.
While others now want a code of conduct for the council, as this man says every major city in the metro has one, except for Norman.
You guys can present it to council. I'm pretty sure every one of you who have morals will approve it. Stop being the only city in the metro that doesn't have one.
By the way, let me just say I disagree with that last guy. God bless you for wanting a code of conduct, but I actually opposed my city's code of conduct when I was on our city council and our ethics commission, in large part because it was so obviously going to be wielded as a tool for partisan machinations. And in fact, I was able to kill it when I was on city council. And then it came up after I left and passed. And it has never been actually used for anything reasonable. It's been used by both sides to attack people on the other side for partisan gain. So kudos to Norman, Oklahoma for not passing one. It's just going to be weaponized. It's not actually going to be used for good purposes. But the larger issue here, what the woman actually said, what the city councilwoman actually told this lady was put a gun in your mouth and pull the trigger. Progressives in this country feel safe saying the nastiest stuff to conservatives. Now, I don't dispute there are people on the right who say nasty stuff. I've gotten my fair share of it from people on the right who are upset with me when I criticize Donald Trump, who apparently is the one person you can criticize Jesus, but you can't criticize Donald Trump among some people. But it's overwhelmingly safer in this country for progressives to be able to do it, in large part because the cultural media infrastructure in this country protects the left when they do terrible things. That's why the left is so outraged right now about people losing their jobs over saying terrible things about Charlie Kirk, because they've been willing and able to do it to people on the right for years, but no one's ever been able to do it to them. And suddenly it's happening to them. They're getting a taste of their own medicine and they don't like it. And, some smart people should be saying, hey, you know what? Maybe let's just cut it out on both sides. But no, what's going to happen is the left is at some point going to feel emboldened to do it again. They're not going to stop. They're getting a taste of their own medicine. And so what's going to happen when they get back into power is they're just going to do it even more. You can already see it coming. It's just very, very obvious here that that's what they're going to do. They don't really care. They just don't like it happening to themselves. I'm just really appalled, though, that a city councilwoman would engage in this level of behavior in Oklahoma, no less. I more expect that sort of behavior in like Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York City. And a lot of times what it comes from is we get online and we say, and listen, I am guilty of it. I mean, New York Times articles have been written about bad things I've said on social media in the past. Things I shouldn't have said, things I had to apologize for. Social media makes it really, really easy for us to hate, and the incentive structure online is for us to hate. I've mentioned Jonathan Haidt several times on this program. Jonathan Haidt, the buzz these days is about his call for banning cell phones on college, or not on college campuses, on classrooms in elementary and secondary education. So elementary and high school, banning cell phones. And it's a great idea, by the way. I mentioned the other day my son texted me from school and said that the boys were calling themselves Tylenol Americans now when they were doing dumb stuff. And it was very funny. And I got a couple emails from people saying, well, how does your son have a cell phone at school? I thought they're allowed breaks during the day at lunchtime and the like where they can text. But in the classroom, they're not allowed to pull out their phones. Some schools are confiscating the phones altogether during the day. You're not even allowed to have it on your person or even pull it out at lunch. It's one of the few bipartisan agreements in the country right now. The governor of California and the governor of Arkansas, not exactly ideologically sympathetic, are both fully on board banning cell phones in classrooms. I increasingly am of the mindset that we probably do need to do something about people on social media too. You know, much of the anti-Israel stuff that is coming through right now, supposedly from people inside the United States, is actually being generated from spam farms in Pakistan. There's a big report on this the other day that a lot of the spam bots you see out there, a lot of the anti-Semitic accounts are actually accounts that have originated in Pakistan, and they're hoping to seed other people to engage in like-minded ways. And I think this sort of thing that's happening, we're seeing this more and more across the board, where on the left and the right, people get seeded with ideas that come from spam bots and they act accordingly. And here now we have this city councilwoman in Norman, Oklahoma, telling someone to put a gun in their mouth and pull the trigger. She felt comfortable on social media telling a constituent to commit suicide. I will say, to her credit, the city councilwoman resigned. A lot of people wouldn't even have the courage to resign after doing stuff like that these days. They double down on it. You see Chris Murphy from Connecticut, the awful stuff these days, or Eric Swalwell, who did the Bang Bang with Fang Fang. He's not resigning after doing the Bang Bang with Fang Fang. He's totally down getting on TV saying stupid stuff all the time. There are very few people in leadership in this country who are willing to actually resign after doing terrible things. There are very few corporate CEOs in this country who are willing to resign. You know, the other day, no, it's not the other day, last month, the CEO of a Japanese alcohol distributorship, one of the largest in the world, resigned. He didn't do anything wrong. Someone else in his family did something wrong that brought shame on his family, and he resigned from being the CEO of the company because, in his mind and in Japanese culture, bringing shame on his family brought shame on his company, and he quit. The Japanese still have a sense of shame that more and more Americans are losing, and it's actually a shame that we don't have a sense of shame in this country anymore. And frankly, it's one reason I'm okay with firing people who say Charlie Kirk should have died or he got what he deserved, because I think rebuilding a sense of shame and consequence for your words in this country is one way to rein in some of the really nasty stuff people are saying to each other right now. I don't really care whether you like Charlie Kirk or not. And if you want to get online and say he was a neo-Nazi bigot, okay. He wasn't, but okay. But my firm dividing line is when you say, so he got what he deserved. It's the got what he deserved part that you should be fired for. Wishing death on another American because they exercise their free speech right is beneath the dignity of any American. It was beneath the dignity of this city councilwoman in Oklahoma. She should have resigned, and I'm glad she did. But what's more stark and amazing to me is that the other members of the city council and the mayor were well aware of it since June and did nothing and said nothing and gave her a pass. Well, there's nothing I can do. None of them wanted to come out and say, I disagree. This isn't the way to treat a constituents. It's shame on the rest of the city council for not doing anything. She herself, when caught, had the decency to resign. They themselves should probably resign. Around the country, Americans are more and more comfortable treating each other poorly. I was asked a question last night about what brings the nation back together, and my answer was, unfortunately, I think global war or terrorism. And I hate to say it that way, but all of us, feel so comfortable these days hating each other. A lot of Americans have forgotten there are those out there who hate us because we're American. They don't care whether you're on the left or the right. They don't care who you voted for president. They hate you because you're an American. And a lot of Americans, we have forgotten that. A lot of Americans, we have forgotten there are people who hate us because we are American. And they feel comfortable hating their fellow American because they disagree on politics. They think their views are illegitimate. And the reality is, the truth is, at some point we will be forced to come together, and some will still refuse. And the rest of society will begin to shun those people on the left and the right who refuse to come together. And unfortunately, it's probably going to take an intervening act by some bad actor abroad that brings this country back together. We don't have leadership on either the left or the right that wants to try to unite people. Both sides have become very comfortable using division to win, and frankly, it's an effective strategy. And then the left is so poisoned by Donald Trump. If Donald Trump stood up tomorrow and said, look, I'm sorry for the bad things I've said, but I love you all. Y'all are all Americans. Not a single person at CNN or MSNBC would believe him, and they would all attack him and condemn him. That's how poisoned the left is, because they're out of power. At some point, something wicked this way will come from abroad. A lot of concern about the Secretary of Defense having all the generals and admirals summoned to Washington for a private meeting. What's coming of that? What will be of that? Is it related to something on the world stage? I don't know. What I do know is this city councilwoman should have never said what she said, but she was right to resign, and I'm kind of shocked and appalled at the other members of city council in Norman, Oklahoma, who just kept their mouths shut and let it play out as if it was no big deal without saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Maybe you should apologize. No one has a sense of shame anymore, including in a place like Oklahoma, which is just remarkable. In fact, I got to be honest, I didn't even know there were progressives in Oklahoma, but apparently there's at least one. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be very happy to have you. We got a lot going on out there today, in addition to the Ryder Cup, which I have on in the background on my giant TV screen, where Europe leads 3-1. Okay. I got to tell you, I got a great quote. In fact, if you get the show notes today, you get my quote. It's in there, and it's a phenomenal quote. It's in the Boston Globe. It's a profile of my buddy Russ Vought, who the Democrats are about to put in charge. Here is my quote. If I were a Democrat, the thought of empowering the head of Office of Management and Budget in a Republican shutdown would give me pause. If I were a Democrat and Russ Vought was in charge of OMB, I would have nightmares about what Russ could do that you couldn't undo when government reopens. Russ has waited for this moment his whole life. And my goodness, he has. And the Democrats don't know what they are walking into with this government shutdown. Russ Vought is getting all sorts of attention as the Democrats careen towards the shutdown. If the Democrats don't fund the government within the next 4 or 5 days, it runs out of money and the government shuts down. And historically, both sides have agreed to clean funding resolutions. That is, you essentially take everything you're doing right now and just agree to continue it. You can fight over the details later. But the Democrats have decided that, among other things, they want their hill to die on to be funding health care for illegal aliens, of all things. And they think they will pay no political, they'll actually have horrible consequences if they don't have this fight with their base. With the voters, it may just cost them everything. We'll see. Now, let me tell you about Old Glory Bank, my bank. You can have them too if you go to oldglorybank.com/Eric. oldglorybank.com/ERICK. Old Glory Bank is a bank by conservatives for conservatives. It was started out in Oklahoma City by a group of conservatives who wanted to find a new bank that they could use and not have to worry about progressives taking over and shutting down the bank accounts of conservatives. They want to protect your freedoms. They don't like it when banks add regulations that you can't make certain purchases with your debit card for things that are legal, like a gun. So you could use your Old Glory debit card instead of having to put it on a credit card. It just works. Businesses, you get great business accounts as well. In fact, I've referred a number of gun stores to Old Glory Bank because they're not going to have to worry about debanking trends with them. They're very hands-on with businesses as well in terms of loans and things like that. oldglorybank.com. That's the bank, oldglorybank.com. But if you go to oldglorybank.com/Eric, I get the credit for you signing up. I've got a bank account with them. No fee checking, no fee savings. If you're a veteran, they've got great deals for you. oldglorybank.com/Eric. oldglorybank.com/ERICK. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.